They had us in the first half, not going to lie. But here on Monday, we're celebrating NC State being 2-0, outgunning the UVA Cavaliers.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Our Monday show is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. That might come in handy if you're planning on making the trip to Winston-Salem on Thursday night. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. As always, terms apply. Victory Monday. Happy Victory Monday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. Sitting here on Monday, 2-0, and it feels good. This win feels much better than the first win felt over ECU. The offense popped for the Wolfpack on Saturday, 35 points, 400-plus yards of offense. They did what they needed to do. When the offense was called upon, they answered the bell. We have some questions on the defensive side of the ball, but recapping some of the recap, Kenton, how do you feel about the win, the 35-31 win here on Monday?
You know, one of our listeners who, means a lot to the show, Miles, said something that really resonated with me, in that I would rather have two ugly wins where we didn't play our best than two perfectly played losses.
Agree.
And that's where I sit with this thing. You got another win where things weren't perfect, but you know what? I don't need perfect. I need a W. I don't need perfect. I don't need everything to be great. I needed a W out of this game, and we got it. You and I came into the season saying through these first 5 or so games, you need to start off 4-1 or 5-0. And you're well on your way to doing it when, let's just be honest, we are objectively 2 passing plays going different on the last drive away from looking at a very different outlook on this season. So I have to say I walk away from this game happy. 2-0. 2-0. There's crab legs and steaks going through the Murphy if I still remember my time at NC State as fondly as I think I do. There's crab legs and steaks going on tonight, and I hope those young men are enjoying it.
No oxtail.
No oxtail. Doran's not an oxtail guy. They always have steak and crab legs after a win, but no oxtail. No, sir.
Yeah, no, certainly agree. It feels good here on Monday. Again, I say this after every opening couple games for the college football season. There's a lot of teams in the country that are not 2-0. Yours is not one of them. NC State is 2-0, and it feels good right now. To reiterate what Kenton was telling you there, these first 5 to 6 games on our schedule are crucial, very crucial, because our schedule is very much backloaded. So to pick up this win, many of us expected to get this win, but I don't know if everyone was prepared for how exhilarating this game was going to be. And the two of us, this game essentially played out exactly how we warned y'all that it might. It was going to be a 4-quarter affair. It was going to be back and forth. It might come down to whoever has the ball last. That's exactly what happened. And Chandler Morris did his thing for UVA. We're able to keep a lid on him relatively, could not contain their run game. And so we have some questions on that moving forward. But the NC State offense, they got in their bag. Kurt Roper, the offensive coordinator, got in his bag. RTA for those that are privy. The offense looks spectacular. CJ looks spectacular. If you go by QBR, I said on Saturday's postgame that I thought that was his best performance. Metrically speaking, that was actually his second best game. He played slightly better against Stanford last year, but I'm willing to put this game over that Stanford performance because I was so impressed by the way that he read the field. He knew when to pull it down and run. He knew when to make the throw, the timing of the routes. That beautiful throw that he made to Noah Rogers in the end zone, I've watched that clip 74 times in the last 48 hours. Just a perfectly layered throw, just dropped it in a bucket over the outstretched hand. It was so good to see Noah Rogers get in the end zone, too. Had a very scary moment on the field against ECU, went down with what we thought would be a head injury, got cleared almost immediately. To watch him prance into the end zone just 1 week later was a great sight to see. And Hollywood Smothers. We could spend hours talking about what Hollywood Smothers means to this team. 17 carries for 140, 2 touchdowns. Simply unstoppable. averaged 8.2 yards per carry in this game, which was nearly his average for the season last year. Don't let Hollywood Smothers get hot. I promise you, the ACC don't want to see that.
Yeah, I absolutely know that the ACC doesn't want to see Hollywood Smothers get hot. And also, like you said, there's a whole lot of RTA going on there.
RTA.
This here, 35 points. I remember when we said this offense is capable of putting up some freakish numbers. This offense is capable of putting up some insane numbers. Everybody said, oh, well, we're not sure. Well, not everybody. Let me not say that. There were some detractors that said, well, Doran's too conservative and we're not sure. And this offense has never put up those type of numbers. Yeah, well, the offense has never been as talented. That's just the fact, top to bottom. Depth-wise, we have dudes everywhere. Some people would say, where was Teddy Hoffman? He was a huge part of last week, not a huge part of this week. You know who was a huge part of this week? Noah Rogers, Justin Jolie, Wesley Grimes, Hollywood Smothers. That when you get everybody showing up in that way, there's only one ball to go around. So, this was a performance where offensively we did exactly what we thought we were going to do. And walking away from it, we knew the defense was going to have their problems. We knew the defense was going to have their struggles. We clamored for the defense to be opportunistic. What's more opportunistic than a game-sealing interception?
That's true.
What's more opportunistic than we have not played well, but we will bow our backs. We will bow our neck and get tough when we need to hold you to long field goals and turnover on downs when you try to get a full drive going against us late. What is more opportunistic than that? If you tell me, obviously, we do not want to see any more 24-point halves. Grayson doesn't want to see it. I don't want to see it. Doran doesn't want to see it. Elliott doesn't want to see it. Nobody wants to see it. But if you tell me you're going to respond to that with a 7-point half, if you tell me, hey, I'm going to guarantee you we have a half where we hold teams to 7, I don't know. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to hold the defense to a standard where I'm like, hey, we're expecting the 2016 defense here. We're expecting the 2017 defense. No, that's Peyton Wilson, Drake Thomas, and Isaiah Moore are now walking through that door. As players, I know Isaiah Moore's on the staff. I know he's still walking through the door, just not as a player. He's not suiting up anymore. But with that being said, again, this is a situation where you've got to be excited with what you got.
Your point about the second half for the NC State defense, it's wild that as many yards as we gave up, which was 514 in total, to find a way to only give up 7 entire points in the second half. It's a little bit miraculous. I know UVA missed a field goal in there. They squandered some opportunities. They did throw the pick to seal it to Kean Sloan. Also, I guess it's not a turnover bone anymore. It's now a turnover sledgehammer. I guess a new defensive coordinator, we should have expected as such. But the defense, they bent a lot. They bent actually extremely far. But at the end of the day, they did not break, and it was enough. Games like these are exactly why we talk extensively in the offseason that this old school Big 12 style of football, I think, is what NC State should be looking to lean on. Go full pedal to the metal on offense, score as many points as you can, just completely dump out your playbook and make it happen. And then the defense, if you can find a way to force a fumble, find a way to turn them over on downs, find a way to get a pick, the offense can capitalize on that on the other side of the field. So they did enough to get the W, and that is what matters. It feels pretty freaking good to be 2-0. Again, it is a short week. You have Wake Forest on Thursday night, and that's another good opportunity to pick up another win, but we'll touch on that when the time comes. 35-31 victory over the UVA Cavaliers. I also had a question to us on Twitter. Kenton, do you think that NC State had the best win in the ACC over the weekend?
I do not, only because I think James Madison is a very good team. I think they're one of the best group of 6 teams there is, and I think Louisville beating them, that was a good game. I know Signetti isn't there anymore. That was a 9-win team last year. And the question becomes, which do you rank more? A 9-win team in the Sun Belt or a 5-win team in the ACC? I think it was a quality win. Don't get me wrong. If NC State wins our game by 14 and Louisville has to get a game-winning interception to seal it, I would definitely feel the opposite. However, smaller margin of victory, against an opponent that I would say basically it's a wash. Because let's be honest, if UVA and James Madison play tomorrow, what would the line be? Who would be favored? You get what I'm saying? I highly doubt that would be anything beyond a push or one team favored by 3 to 4 points. I don't think either team would be heavily favored there. So I'll say Louisville only because a double-digit victory over an opponent that, has been very good in recent history. This could change. This could change as the season goes on, right? We've seen this before where, remember, we thought that nobody was going to have a better win all season than Georgia Tech beating Florida State in Dublin, Ireland. And then we figured out beating Florida State was just part and parcel of being an ACC team last year, not named Cal. So, it's a situation where at the moment I'll give the nod to Louisville, but that could change. Tentatively, Louisville had the better win.
Well, if NC State wasn't one, then at the very least, they were number 2. They had a top 2 win in the ACC conference, which is funny because it was a non-conference win over UVA. But just looking around the ACC super quick, I mean, Clemson played with fire, was down. I think it was 13 points to Troy at halftime and had to flip a switch there to come away with the win in that one. Duke got throttled by Illinois. Florida State won by 1 billion points, but they played a high school team. So what is that really worth? SMU fumbled a game at home. They lost in overtime, actually double overtime to Baylor. Syracuse, they played with fire. I thought they probably should have lost that game to UConn, but found a way to win in overtime. Georgia Tech, I think, had a good win, not because of who they played, because they played Gardner-Webb, but they put hammer to nail. So Georgia Tech's playing good football right now, and I expected them to be a good team. They certainly look like it. Virginia Tech had one of the worst second-half performances I've ever seen against Vanderbilt, handed that one away. Boston College lost on the road in overtime to Michigan State, and then Stanford. I don't think we should consider them an ACC team because they are embarrassing the great name of the ACC conference right now. I say all that to say we should be proud of this win for NC State. And I'll leave you with this before we go to break. I think this UVA win is going to age better as the season goes on. I think UVA is going to shock some people with that offensive firepower that they got, but time will tell. So coming up next, we're going to get into how we did against Kenton's Keys. More on this after a quick word from our sponsors. Our first Monday sponsor is SupplyHouse. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with SupplyHouse. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow from over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting on projects, while their industry-leading customer service will always have your blind side covered. Their part finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every single detail matters. And their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and their dedicated phone support line, they make the whole process streamlined. So join that free Trademaster program today, and you can score perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and that dedicated phone support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off of your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Our second Monday sponsor is Gametime. College football is back, and we simply could not be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, and the energy in the stands, we all know there's just simply nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. There's endless queues, hidden fees, and sometimes prices are jumping at checkout. But that is why all football season long, you got to use Gametime. It is the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with zero surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. The app makes everything super simple, and you can even see your exact seat view from the app before you buy. It's a panoramic seat view, so you know what to expect upon arrival. Take all the guesswork out of buying college football tickets all football season long with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, and again, use promo code LOCKEDONCollege. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked On College, for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. Middle portion of our Monday show. Now time to review how NC State football did against Kenton's Keys. So beginning first on the offense, actually caveat here, how do y'all think that we did? Because you'll see a very clear divide, and it makes a whole lot of sense when we're done here. The number one key on offense was to win on first down. That was averaging a minimum of 5 yards per play on first downs for the entire game. Check mark for that one. We averaged actually 7.5 yards per play. Hollywood Smothers had a large part in that. That 57-yard run came on a first down. That heavily pulled the weight up, but I do think we might have hit it anyway. Experienced a lot of success on first down, certainly staying ahead of the chains. The second offensive key was to not let up, and you had to score at least 17 points in the second half. Check mark for that one. We actually scored 21 in the second half, and you needed every bit of those because you only won by 4. So 2 for 2 so far. The third offensive key was to let it rip, average 8 yards per pass attempt. So 200 total passing yards divided by 23 attempts puts you at about 8.7 yards per attempt. 3 for 3 on offense. Are you surprised at all, Kenton?
RTA, ladies and gentlemen. Kurt Roper did his big one. And the beauty of this game is even when the offense was not executing, I couldn't blame the play calls at all.
Yeah.
The play calls were always there. They were always there. I kid you not. There was one play in particular. It was a third down late in the game. I said, I'm going to go drive concept. Give me Jolie as your first read. That was the exact play that they ran. And the defense had worked it out in a way that they did not bring pressure, but they did find a way to kind of clamp down on Jolie from 2 different angles. And so the drag, for those of you who don't know what a drive concept is, it's an in route with a drag route underneath it. It's meant to basically put the defense in a I'm going to be wrong either way situation, because either you take the cheese of the drag, which leaves the end coming behind it open, or you stay back and play the end, but then you have a dragger across the field getting the ball in a lot of space with a head of steam. The play was there. If Bailey gets this ball off unfettered, that's a completion, which very well could have ended up in a first down. Very well could have ended up that way. It just was one of the few plays all game where UVA got pressure. It ends up incomplete. So even when the execution was not there, it was a phenomenally called game. And then on the other end, when the play calls weren't great, there were times where the players just made them right. There were multiple times where it should have been a tackle for loss, and yet Hollywood Smothers figures out a way. Or it could have been, if we had a lesser runner at quarterback, he just has to throw that ball away. CJ Bailey breaks out and scores a touchdown. That play where they had an unblocked blitzer, that is not, I'm not saying that's on Roper. I'm not saying that, hey, he was supposed to be out there to identify that blitz with CJ. I'm not saying that. But the defense schematically won. The defense schematically wins. If you can bring a free rusher on 3rd and long, you won as a defense. That's every defensive coordinator in America. If you tell them that's a guarantee on 3rd and long, they would do things that I cannot describe on this page without losing our clean rate. You understand? And yet, CJ Bailey just shakes out of it, goes on to score a touchdown. So from execution, it was phenomenal. From play call, it was phenomenal. From motivation, it was phenomenal. The only thing that I would say about the offense is when it was time to put foot on neck, both the execution and the play call both kind of lagged. There was no connection there when we had chances to put them away. When we were trailing, everything was full speed ahead, and we were getting it. Every time we got a lead, it seemed like we got a little fat and happy. But all in all, I'm not going to complain. It's only so many complaints you can give about 35 against the Power 14. There's only so many complaints.
Yeah, as much as we talk about the conservative nature of the offense, typically, when you don't have a lead to squat on, you have no choice but to be aggressive. And I thought the offense for the majority of this game, it was perfectly aggressive. I did think that Kurt Roper called a great game. No gripes for me in terms of play calling. Not even, to be honest, the last drive when we had CJ run a couple times for like maybe a yard or two. If you throw a pick going the other way, now you're down, 3 points with 2 minutes left. I'm okay with making UVA earn it by punting it down to their side. I think it was like the 15-yard line and saying, okay, our defense has been bad today, but if UVA is going to win this game, they got to go 85 yards to do it. In most cases, I can live with that. Now, it did get a little hairy there at the end. They got down to a red zone. Thankfully, Chandler Morris threw a pick to Kean Sloan. But all in all, the aggressiveness was there. And Coach Dorn going for it on fourth down multiple times in this game, going Wildcat with Will Wilson. That was nice to see. The offense showed up. They did what they were supposed to. Zero complaints for us. Again, this is the offense that we've been dreaming we could have now for about 2 seasons. We knew with the skill talent that we have in the stable and with CJ continuing to grow on the fly, you can have a game against a P4 opponent putting up 35 and you look awesome. So that was this. But now we move over to the defense. The first defensive key was to make Chandler Morris move out of the pocket, sack him 2 times, missed on that one, actually did not record a sack, interestingly enough. The overall pressure on Morris, I wanted more. There was a couple times you got back there, but never was able to sack him, so missed on that one. Second defensive key was to bring out the bone, which I alluded to is actually no longer a bone. It's now a turnover sledgehammer. But we wanted to force 2 turnovers. Sadly, only forced 1, although it was the game winner in the end zone from Kean Sloan. So technically, you missed on that one. And the third defensive key was to make anyone but Morris win the game for them. We wanted to hold him to less than 250 total passing yards. He finished with 257. So technically 0 for 3 on defense. Does that make sense to everyone? 3 for 3 on offense, 0 for 3 on defense. Your thoughts, Kenton?
Does the score not reflect this?
It
Did Grayson, you had the score being what, 35-31 or?
I had 30-27.
30-27. Both of us took the over. The over in this was 52.5 or 53, something like that.
It's 54.5, but we both went over.
Both of us went over. And did this game not hit the over?
Yep.
Was this game not one pass from ending exactly how I said? Hey, I'm sorry, Wolfpack Nation. I'm sorry. My fault, OGs. My fault. My bad. My bad. It was just a moment where I foresaw this. It was
the time zone.
There was only one way this game could end, Grace.
Kean Sloan.
Exactly. But this is a moment where, again, we expected the defense to have their struggles. This is an offense that is better than I think people give it credit for, especially because it's not just the offense. Their special teams, their return game has been an X factor all year in terms of these first 2 games that nobody could have seen coming. Nobody would have known, like, oh, yeah, this Ross kid, we could go ahead and book him for at least 100 return yards per game. What? That's not normal. That's not everyday stuff. They're rolling with some real high-powered stuff in terms of special teams, which makes keeping them out of the end zone even harder. But I still want more. Our defensive ends, they've set the precedent now. They've set the precedent now that this is what I want to see. They made game-winning plays in game 1. I want to see they won the game in game 2. The edge rushers, the group that I was the biggest out on coming into this season, I'm all in. My eyes are firmly planted on Sloan and Harsh. And, they've earned all of the respect and the love that they've gotten over these first 2 games. I want to see them keep it going, and I want to see the rest of the defense follow along. Come on, pick it up. Come on, take the hint. Take the hint from your 2 edge rushers. This is how it needs to be done,
And again, I do want to reiterate something that Kenton kind of opened the show with. As much as the defense has seemingly struggled in the first 2 games, I'd much rather them struggle, but be able to learn from it because we won the football game. It's good that they're able to win, and in fact, won both of these games because of the defensive play made at the very end of the game. That's good for confidence levels, but the tape that they're getting in a win is so much more valuable, I believe, than in a loss. You're able to get in the film room, make those simple tweaks, understand how you're missing your run fits or how you're not just executing a simple tackle and being able to get off of the field on third down. The third downs, honestly, that was like the biggest problem in this game for NC State's defense. UVA was 13 of 19 on third down. And I told you on the Saturday show, in the first half, they opened up like 5 of 6. And all of those 6 were like 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 11. If you wipe out like half of those, this game might look differently. But the defense still has a long way to go. They have a lot of work to do. Or maybe this is what we're looking at for the entire season, which is something else we've kind of already alluded to. If the defense is going to struggle, the offense is going to have to take the reins, and that is exactly what you saw on Saturday. So all in all, 3 for 3 on offense, 0 for 3 on defense. Certainly a lot of things to still correct on both sides of the ball, but you end up with a win, and I think each and every one of us is happy with that. Last thing I didn't mention, again, I want to give some love to the offensive line. I thought they played much better in week 2 than they did in week 1. They deserve a lot of credit for everything we were able to do on the ground in terms of both CJ running and Hollywood running and protecting CJ in the pocket, his second best career day as quarterback of the NC State Wolfpack. Coming up next, we're going to give you our big picture takeaways from this 35-31 victory. This comes after a quick word from our sponsors. Our third Monday sponsor is The Game. Quick question for all of you college football fans out there. If you could go back in time and sit front row at your school's biggest rivalry games, what hat would you want to be wearing? Yes, I said hat. For me, it would be The Game. These aren't just hats, they're the same vintage style hats that fans were wearing back in the 80s and 90s. And guess what? They still go for the same price that they did back then. When you use code LOCKEDON, you can get these vintage style hats for $16.99. And in fact, I got mine on right here. Love this hat, super comfortable, fits perfectly, and it looks pretty sweet as well. Get yours today at thegamecaps.com. You can grab your team's classic bar or retro circle design using code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, locked on for an exclusive discount. Because legends, you already know, they wear the game. Last couple minutes of our Monday show. Now time for our big picture takeaways. NC State football is 2-0, 35-31 victory over the UVA Cavaliers. What is your big picture takeaway from this win, Kenton?
The big picture takeaway is starting to feel like this is a team that can find a way. It's starting to feel like this is a team that everything will not always be perfect. Everything will not always be, neat and nice and, this is the way that I want this put away. But we're starting to get the sense of a team that just knows how to get it done. And to be honest, if you look through NC State lore, a lot of the best teams have been just that. Teams that know how to get it done. Teams that, we look at them and we're like, on paper, it doesn't make sense sometimes that this team it keeps finding a way, but they do. That is still to be seen. I don't want anybody saying I'm calling this team a team of destiny or anything like that. So don't start that nonsense up. But I am saying this is a team that I'm looking at saying, hey, they figured out how to get it done.
For as up and down as we've been for these first 2 games, the end results have been 2 things that we expected to see, a win and a win. They're currently sitting at 2-0. I think just about everyone expected them to be 2-0. And I want to reiterate something I've said just a couple minutes ago. There's so much value in some of these younger guys being experienced in winning plays, being on the field, making the last play to end the game, and knowing what it takes to close out a team. Again, regardless on how you feel about how conservative Dave is or how much the defense has struggled, what you have seen is in crunch time, when it came time to win the game, NC State had the players that got it done both times. And as bad as we were in one-score games just a year ago, we're 2-0 in one-score games this year. Now, hopefully we can get to a point where every game is not a one-score game. But even when that is the case, we're already getting early experience for these guys to know what it takes to close out a ball. That kind of leads into my big picture takeaway, which is kind of something I've already said a billion times. The offense is going to have to take control. Kurt Roper is going to have to keep the playbook open like we saw on Saturday. I thought he called a great game, and we need more of that in every game moving forward. The confidence that gets instilled in a kid like CJ Bailey, you're going to be able to feel that because he's playing at a high clip right now. Again, his second best career day on Saturday. That matters when you got to go play on a short week against Wake Forest on Thursday night. That matters when Hollywood Smothers is getting cooking. In fact, he's lining up to be one of the top 3 running backs in the ACC this season. So keep that momentum going. Your wide receivers, as I already said, it was so good to see Noah Rogers get in the end zone because you only saw that one time all of last season. To see both actually Noah Rogers and Wesley Grimes to get in the end zone already, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, both of them only had 1 touchdown each, and both were in the latter half of the season. So you're starting to turn a new leaf, it kind of feels like. And Justin Jolie, I think, is the next leaf we need to turn. He's gotten the targets. I think he might lead us in receptions as well. Still want to see him utilized down the field more often. He seems like he's catching all these passes at or behind the line of scrimmage. Once you get Justin, consider this for a second. We're 2-0. The offense looked good against UVA, and we still haven't truly unlocked Justin Jolie. Imagine what that might look like in a couple weeks. So there's so much to be positive about on the offensive side of the ball. And if the defense can just continue to be opportunistic, they will go hand in hand. They'll help each other out, and that'll result in several more W's. So to summarize, big picture, offense lead the way, defense create opportunity. And some of these guys already are learning on the fly what it takes to close out a football game. That is a really big deal moving forward. As I said, we will be on the road on Thursday night, so it's a short turnaround. We've had some heebie-jeebies in the past over there in the Triad. Need I remind you, though, the last time we were out there, it was B2A. It was a 26-6 victory, so don't think this is somewhere we're going that we can't get a win, and every time we're over there, it goes poorly. This team here in 2025, they're picking up some momentum at the right time, and I do think they're going to be confident heading out to Winston-Salem on Thursday evening. That will do it for us here on Monday, Victory Monday, that is. Be sure to hit that like button, drop your comments in the comment box. Give us all of your thoughts from this 35-31 win. Give us your thoughts about how Kenton's Keys went. And finally, give us your big picture takeaways in the comment section as well. Mash that subscribe button if you have not already. We'll catch you right back here tomorrow on Tuesday for more. And until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.